Okay, so this is not live, obviously. I am going to announce that we're going to have one final Pulse show. I'm going to be ending the Pulse. The final episode is going to be with my friends. Going to be an interview of Jason, ex Navy. We're going to talk all the the problems the Navy SEALs and the Navy have been having, as well as get to know Jason, have a good career. But this video, while I'm working, because I am really busy. This video is all about Tim Pool versus Candace. And I completely understand. People tell me all the time, I'm so confused. I don't know what's happening. That's the way it was designed. I warned everybody about the changes that were going. I warned Congress, had meetings with them. I put it in a book. I put everything out. And I said that it doesn't really much matter if Trump wins because of the changes. I mean, I went on a limb saying that the changes would make it very challenging. This is not about any one particular side, although I much despise the far left. If you go further left than a classical liberal or a paleo lib, as I call it, then I pretty much despise that. But let's talk about this meltdown that's happening. And this is actually a really important topic. It's going to be a reveal for you. Now, let me give you quickly how you can discern who to trust and who not to trust. This is the quick. Who's having fun? Candace is having fun, and Tim Pool is not having fun. The dark side does not play clean games. He is beating at the dark because it's a cloud around him. He is Tulkas in this case, although that's probably the strongest comparison Tim Pool's ever been. Mr. Fence Sitter, Mr. Suddenly showed up to the right once they won, he rode the middle kind of thing. He's not a centrist in the way I was. He's rode the middle. But suddenly he's on the side, and now he's beating at the dark. And it's not fun for him. You can tell he's very upset. And he has every reason to be upset. So now that I've given you the quick and dirty, like, who's having fun? See, if that doesn't reveal for your eyes, then you need to really stop and adjust to what your priorities are. With all due respect to the Hodge twins, I love them. And I think that what they said is basically correct. She has every right to question. The interesting thing is, though, she was useful for about a half second on this Charlie Kirk situation. Now, let's back up. Her podcast stopped becoming something I would describe as worth a look and trust along by the time that she was glazing for Weinstein. Now, I'm not saying that that wasn't a worthy interview. It was a totally worthy interview. But right around that point, she converted to basically a gossip columnist. And the thing about gossip, not only is it lend to a lot of sin, right? It creates a lot of sin. Gossip. I've been personally harmed by gossip more times than I can tell you. I mean, I could tell you, and I will tell you, but it's going to be years because the children are still young. So I still have 10 more years to go. If YouTube and all of us exist and everything, I will give away the facts. But nevertheless, gossip is very harmful, and it is very sinful. And the gossip column got extremely weird through the Macron thing. Like, look, there's a extreme 85+% chance that Michelle Obama is Michael Sotoro and is a man. An 85% chance. But you don't know. And also, not my business. And also, he was a legal president who committed felonies and war crimes. So what are we talking about, So when it comes to Macron, I'm not even French. I'm foreign, don't give a fuck what the Macron family gets into. I don't want to know. I mean, I saw him snorting coke with Farage there, and I thought that was disgraceful. But it's not my problem. That's their problem. That's their European problem. And the Europeans have been weird forever, just like the Japanese. They've been weird forever. Just let it go. If the French elected him and he has a trans wife, it's not going to keep you out of heaven. It's not going to keep me out of heaven. So I don't really get the obsession that she had, except that it weakened the French government, obviously. Now, I have no idea I don't have any secret connections. Okay, I have been out of the game for 2 decades. I literally 2 decades. I don't have any connections, so I don't know if she legitimately was targeted. Probably. I mean, she's probably on somebody's list, right? And so is probably Tim Pool. And to insinuate that he, staged a shooting up of his compound is a little lunatic. It's lunatic French for sure. Uh, that brings us back to the Charlie Kirk stuff. So fast forward, she wades in because of her personal interest. Now, my personal opinion is that the last vestiges of her good conscience, of her good self, is actually hurting over Charlie Kirk. But the amount of grifting and greed, the ability to play on that, the two, it's very easy for the dark side to find your weakness and then hone in on that and promote it to go. She's also fallen into some stereotype ruts, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to appear like an angry black female. Whereas Tim, is he suspect? Absolutely, he's suspect. He's absolutely suspect. He's has, but fools often are associated with dangerous people. It happens all the time. He may have just made very bad choices, all the way stemming back to when he was with Vice, as to who to surround himself with. Obviously, Charlie Kirk had the same situation, and we all understand that Tyler Robinson was not the killer. He's involved, or he's a double for the guy who's involved on the camera. Whoever's on the camera is involved, but they're not the shooter. That's just science. Okay, I'm not gonna. I've already explained angles, trajectories, audio, and kinetic ballistics show that the roof is not where he was shot from. But that doesn't mean that Turning Point USA did it. It doesn't. It does not mean that. There's a lot of potential. The one quiet one in the room is obviously the CIA. Everybody talks about the Mossad as if it's just like automatic. Well, obviously the Jews did it. Well, first of all, full disclosure, I dated you. So I find that to be a rather disgusting approach to anything. Now, doth the lady Netanyahu protest too much and too early? Yeah. But there's no motive. There's no motive. If you're trying to court the kid and you think you could turn him and you schedule another meeting and another meeting. If he's worth $180 million, you schedule another meeting. You hound on that guy. Maybe you find dirt on him, but you don't give up on him in a limit. That's not how that works. You don't give up on your best thoroughbred you've had. You just don't. So the question is, who really stood to benefit? I don't think that Turning Point USA or people who took over, that they stood to benefit really. I don't. I think that that's all theatrical and low IQ thinking. Low IQ thinking. If you're involved directly and you inherit, let's say you have two business partners. Let's use Scrooge and his partner. If Marley dies under suspect circumstances, Scrooge is the number one suspect. So if Charlie Kirk dies, the number one suspect for any kind of conspiracy is going to be his partner, is going to be any executive that stood to benefit directly. And that's going to increase the scrutiny on that person. It just doesn't make any sense. And I know that people want it to make sense, but it physically actually does not make sense. Okay? And I don't know how, if she were to be considered genuine and sincere, anyone could say that she has done the math on that. It's not been done. It's clearly not been done. And because she's four-wheeling, ATVing through the woods, lost completely the plot. And the only person who I've seen that is really, yes, Candace is on something is Zach Costello. And I can tell you that Zach made some math calculation errors early on, immediately accepted everything she said. Guys, definitely was shot from the front. Well, maybe if it was a palm pistol, he was shot from the front. But I can tell you, he wasn't shot by a 30-06 from the front, and he wasn't shot at 9 degrees, 142 yards. by a 30-06. It doesn't matter how old the ammo is. That's not a thing. If the ammo is dry, the chemistry works. It's not a thing. There is a thing where ammo, it being old, might explode in the gun, but that if it fires, it fires. The gases expand, the acceleration is the same. It's not a thing that the ammo is just tired and it can barely reach the guy. And it was able to go in, but it couldn't get through his neck. Bullshit. Okay, it's not possible. It doesn't happen. So you got to wonder what Zach's particular motivation. But he appears to be a very maybe overly trusting dude. I watched Zeb Boykin outside the Overton, and they're trying to figure it out. My problem with them is the same problem I'm having with Mark Dice. I love Mark. The problem is the biases that people have. I'm not talking about their confirmation. I'm talking about their actual prejudices. Cause them to immediately say, well, because there's all this gay stuff happening, then therefore they're controlled, they're fed, they're this. I see people saying that the Candace crowd's flat earthers. There probably is an overlap. The better one is the QAnon. Okay, there were those of us who investigated Pizzagate and Pedogate and found actual information and sifted through, and then there's the QAnons, just like came in, making crazy wild statements, no kind of investigation, everything circumstantial evidence. That's the thing about Candace, is that it's 99% gossip and circumstantial evidence, and that is it. There's nothing in it that is hard science, because she doesn't have the ability, she doesn't have the access. If her or Zach or any of them who also doubt the conspiracies just looked at the footage, you can see the high-speed drone. You can watch the drone that flew out of there. Does that mean that drone fired? It could have been an observation drone, but I know this. It zipped out of there, lickety-split. The camera followed it, which is even weird, more suspect, and it went in the direction of the house that was supposedly unoccupied, allegedly unoccupied. I don't understand why OpenAI makes it so difficult to update your payments methods. There should be a button individually. Forget have an account button. Just a simple payment, but it should be a law that every website has just a payment management center that you automatically go and deal with. Now, this is weird. It says that I'm all up to date, so I don't know what the app is acting stupid. It didn't want me to upload an image, which is bizarre, but nevertheless, it is what it is. So, where were we? We have a drone, we have kinetic ballistics, and we have audio ballistics. Again, I've shown you can't get a shockwave from 142 yards instantly on the person. It does not happen. It's not possible. This is not a matter of faith. Set aside as miracle neck and other bullshit that people believe. All right. This guy was shot with a low caliber, by the way, because even a high caliber small round like a 17 Hornady probably would have gone all the way through. Now, if it did hit from the back and go through, then back to it's probably 17 Hornady. Because if it were a larger caliber pistol round, it would create an even messier exit wound in the front. But it appears to be a smaller caliber. I don't know if it's 22 Win Mag or anything, and we can't know because they dug up the bullet and then paved over everything, which shows pre-planning, which means it's a conspiracy. I see these rising commenters again attacking conspiracy theorists. I'm sitting there going, after 8 years of conspiracies that have been proved out, you're not relevant anymore. If you are a person who hates conspiracy theories and conspiracy theorists, let alone conspiracy factualists, you have yourself lost the plot well before Candace got paid by some whatever connection through her British husband. You are totally lost because the government has come out and said there are UFOs, there are chemtrails. There's an ex-CIA guy answering questions about all the hit jobs they do. Ex-CIA, you have no idea. We know Quora is a psyops. There is everywhere. I don't have to re-explain to you people that when you worked inside a conspiracy, How many more conspiracies there are than theories to cover that? They're everywhere. But all these people, they're so inundated and they're so scared that they're attacking everyone, which means that they hate the entire Candace crowd, as if Tim Pool's never involved in conspiracy theorizing. That's incorrect. He does conspiracy theory and gossip, by the way, all the time. I'm not going to make any statements about the fact that his niche is that he's competing with a female. That doesn't make him gay. Okay, Milo, and it doesn't make him an insecure limp noodle liberal male. Okay, it doesn't make that. If he's already that, then that's already that. I'm not going to go there. But I will say that of the two of them, right, you and me, we can have fun because, at least with me, Charlie Kirk wasn't in my family. And it's been long enough that I can let go that rage I have because we don't have any suspects. You give me a suspect that is real, and I can have the rage for that. But until then, I can enjoy. Do I want particularly the Republicans to lose the midterms? No. This assertion that she is melting down the right is absurd. First of all, it presupposes that TPUSA was the reason why he was elected, but 2016, that's not what happened. And so 2024, it's probably also not what happened. Okay. Young people do not control the elections. And then, secondly, she's not really causing the problem. The real problem for the right is coming from the administration itself. They've made about 4 errors, major errors, categorical errors of serious political problems. And then Trump himself, I can't say that he's got dementia because I'm not his doctor. It's not like Biden where it's super obvious. However, personality changes are a part of it. And he is saying things in a way that either says, I don't care because I'm not going to get reelected. And I don't care if anybody else gets elected because I'm Trump. And if it's not me, then I don't care, which is his personality. Or B, he's saying because he doesn't have the physical ability to filter what he's really thinking anymore. That doesn't mean he can't function. And in fact, it might be a lot of fun to have somebody who is that unfiltered, giving people the business. But that doesn't make it wise, and it doesn't make it a good thing for conservative politics. And I'm speaking as a classical libertarian, not any of these fake gay libertarians. Okay, I don't have any problem with gays, but I do have a problem with the Libertarian Party being sucked into sort of a pseudo Bernie bro woke world. That's why I voted Republican recently. But I can tell you that the problems for the right are much more invasive and pervasive in terms of being controlled by the uniparty uh, than anything else. It's not something that Candace did. And if she is being paid by some left source to destroy the party, then I suppose she's doing an excellent job. But again, she's not got that kind of level of control. People are going to vote based on their wallets. All right, everybody, people are going to vote based on their wallets. If you're voting, first of all, if you're voting for abortion, you're an idiot because that's a state issue now. So, all right, now skipping that. Ideology, I mean, maybe there's some Second Amendment voters, maybe there's some climate change lunatic voters. It's hilarious. The whole climate change thing is like collapsed because everybody now understands the climate changes all the time. Joe Rogan has talked about this, and eventually he'll stumble upon the facts, which is the sun and the Chenault effect. So the climate change thing, they'll wheel it out like Joe Biden there, but the real reason that people are going to vote is their wallet and the economy. That is it. So if Trump creates jobs, then his VP is going to be president. I'm going to tell you right now, if Trump creates jobs, it's not going to matter if we blow up Venezuela and 10,000 boohoo fishermen boats out of Venezuela and the waters of the Caribbean. That won't matter. Vance will be president because People care with their money right now. And that might be a big statement of spiritual significance. It might be. Maybe people care too much about money. Or maybe they got kids to feed. And there's a lot of room in between for a lot of healthy political debate, healthy political debate. There's also a lot of flammery, who said he sheds. I'm disappointed Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned. I liked her raising hell. And the thing is, he's not your boss. Stay in Congress. Don't leave. Undo it. Undo the resignation. And Massey, you're from my state. You better not resign. And if I know you well enough from afar, I don't believe you will. But don't take it. It has nothing to do with no kings, and he's a tyrant. I mean, he's a bully, and he always has been a bully. He's done good things as a bully, and he's done bad things as a bully. Apparently, one thing he didn't do was diddle children at P. Diddy and Epstein's parties. He just likes hot women over 18. You hear that, left? He's not gay enough for you. He likes hot women over 18. And now he's old. So it's too late. You ain't going to get nothing. He's Teflon Don for a reason. Now, speaking of which, Teflon, you make it with toxic chemicals. Maybe it wasn't a good thing to end up in a place where you need Teflon for president. Teflon for president. Next, it'll be DDT. DDT for Emperor of the Universe. I've had people say it's a miracle chemical, no side effects. Okay, tell it to the birds. The thing is that with Candace versus Tim Pool, you got two people who are certainly paid. They are certainly owned by somebody. Now, Candace will claim, I'm not owned by anybody because I've got a rich husband. And that rich husband means I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever. She's actually said this, which, I don't know. I don't think she wants to be popular with females. So she's busy bragging about this British husband. I'm sitting there going, that country is over. It's done. It's melted down. We might have to invade to save our friends. And we can't afford to. It's not going to happen. And these newer generations, they don't have any chutzpah. They don't have any battle in them. They don't have any battle in them. I'm not going to bother with the Somali stuff. You guys understand that these people are all scumbags, including Ilhan Omar, and they need to be deported. Do I need to go over that? No. But I can tell you the fact that the people of this country are not energetic to fight that, it means that they just don't have that kind of backbone to go over to England and France and save them from ideological war. It's going to have to happen there. The same as the only way the Afghanistan is ever going to change is if the Afghanis change it. We may have involved them a few hundred years, but they're still 1,000 years short, It's just the way it is. People at their own location have to make their own location better. We cannot force people to be what we want them to be. We can't. I mean, we could try. It's a hypothesis, but I can tell you that it's not a hypothesis that has yielded a lot of super positive work. Now, I got to go because I got a kid who doesn't understand that when I'm recording, I'm recording. So I'll have to check you guys later. Think about what I said. Who's having fun? Definitely Tim Pool is not having fun. So pull back the dark side, and now you will know who is really the person to trust in this situation. Form your own opinion.